Good afternoon, everyone. Going to talk about the possible UFOs in the video I shot. Landslides in Turkey, dust tornadoes Oman, hail and floods Oman. Deserts and cities both didn't matter. Floods sweeping through Saudi Arabia. United Arab Emirates not immune either. A look at Birkeland currents from the James Webb. Countries hit by the most earthquakes. Snow loads on roofs, Alaska, collapsing buildings. But in other parts of the world, this is how they do it. Blow soot onto the snow on the roof. Let the sun melt it. Go big or go home. And the Patreon exclusive video, I did changes in real time. I was just shooting this as some B-roll while I was narrating about changes over 2,000 years of cycles, those that are mappable, and that it's coming back in visible for us to see. Several handful of people wrote me back and said, you need to look at those blinking dots in your video. And I didn't see that originally, even when I was editing, because I was just trying to cut a nice 2-minute segment or so to watch the ferries come in and out. This is in Croatia in Split. So I'll let you look at the lights in the sky, decide what they might be, because in the location, didn't hear anything, didn't visually see them either because we were talking and looking at other things, focused more on the ferries because there were several ferry docks moving at the same time. So what do you think it is? Has anybody seen this type of light that is blinking, dissolving, and then reappearing in a different formation? If you do, please leave a comment in the box below, because we're also looking for answers of what this could possibly be. And then it just dissipates out of view, much like things that are in the news, they're in and then they're out. One thing making the mud flood news headlines is whether it be a valley collapse or whether it be an entire continent swept by waves, liquefaction, toothpaste squeezing from beneath the planet due to electromagnetic effects on 400 or 2,000-year cycles. If you think dirt can't move and flow in a fashion, something just like this in Turkey, you have to look around the world. There's an enormous amount of these debris flows happening. And with these massive changes we're seeing, we're going to drop over here in some of the driest areas on the planet. We look at Oman, the United Arab Emirates, also Saudi Arabia. Not a place you think about tornadoes. They could call them dust devils, but it looks like an EF1 tornado swinging through the Omani desert here, which preceded massive floods and hail. Now, Oman has been privy to an enormous amount of cyclones that had rolled through and created lakes in the deserts. It just seemed like that area is getting wetter. But if you go back to approximately 800 AD, the Marib Dam was in that area in Yemen. So this is a cycle repeating itself. Look at the size of the hail, damaging windshields, cars, flooding through the cities. Now, if you thought it was only in the desert, doesn't matter, city or desert, both okay. They all received this massive widespread weather anomaly, and it seems to be becoming more and more frequent in Oman. Now this is hail in the desert. Now there was a massive amount of bloom since 2018-19, turning deserts green with locust plagues coming. The hydrological cycles definitely shifted over to the Middle East and North Africa, are becoming wetter naturally. So to set up a new growing area in that part of the planet, tap the underground water resources, then we can set up new grow zones. So it doesn't matter if we lose parts of the grow zones across the northern latitudes, they could be substituted with new investment in the new fourth turning cycle. The Fed took the punch bowl away from the party again. The stock market's been betting on March rate cuts, but not so fast. Is this why JP Morgan and UBS are calling for a 23% drop in the S&P The recession indicator's ringing its most severe alarm in 40 years. Call the proud Americans the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Mention the Adapt 2030 channel. You're going to get some great in-class service. Also, Patriot Gold Group has a no-fee-for-life IRA where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver. No fee-for-life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Give them a call, 888-546-7020. And now on with the video. Speaking of rain, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, part of that same front that had swung through. So what is it about the amplifications of water drop in these areas? You know, if you go back, like I say, 1,200 years, these were green. They were forested, not to massive, 80, 90 foot tall trees. Good 20, 30 foot tall tree, what we consider very thick savanna. And the frankincense root was there. It was fully green all the way in what they call the empty quarter of today. You can read back into the accounts of the Aksum kingdom and their control over the frankincense root through the empty quarter all the way to Istanbul. You need an enormous amount of water. That's why the frankincense trade has diminished greatly, except for irrigation. But with this much water coming out of the skies naturally, what is causing the change? Rivers overflowing themselves, which are normally dry riverbeds. So what is the change that we're looking at here? Enter your favorite Birkeland current. James Webb Telescope, the zeta pinch right there, Z pinch. You're always looking for the cosmic energy flows. And here's one captured front and center. Things that were once thought myth and legend, proven scientific fact. A simpler way to reference this is a high voltage cable powering stars. And when that current flow decreases, wow, we get effects on our planet. Jet stream shift, hydrological cycle shifts, all based on cycles. Now you can go back in the past and look at different paintings from different eras and see the pre and post reset, what types of things they had to deal with. Go back to the Maunder Minimum and take a look at the devastation of crops across the planet and the ability, even at that time when most people were more of an agrarian-based society or civilization, they still struggled. They had to leave. There was mass immigration everywhere because they just couldn't grow food in their traditional spots. It just got too cold further north latitudes. That's why I say if you lose latitude growing areas, North America, China, then you would need to substitute elsewhere or reduce the carrying capacity or the population on the planet to reach that equilibrium. And what are we starting to see? A lot of crop losses across the world that were forecast coming in for this grand solar minimum. And look at every single space agency is now biting their fingernails, having to admit it, that it's as soon as we drop into this and off this, into this low, which is occurring faster into the solar maximum, that's going to be dropping into solar minimum on the 11-year cycle. Once we're there, our world changes forever. And it's really quirky that the timelines are marching kind of in a parallel fashion here of why the world needs to reset immediately right now. And also the sun's about to reset us immediately right now. What you're seeing across the world in these last couple of years is the fingerprint of the grand solar minimum. You know, it's one thing to talk about the weather, but you really need to talk about the economy and how this is going to affect us, because we only have so much money to spend each month. So why, moving from just reporting on the weather into shifting into now the economy plus these weather events, because we need to really delve into the cost of life. What are you going to get ready for products? How are you going to get prepared for these changes in a real tangible way versus just going, well, the weather's over here. Oh, here's another sign here. There's another flood there. There's another jet stream bent. There's another snowstorm. There's another ice storm. There's another thing out of season. But then how does that affect you, your pocketbook? I mean, this is the whole thing, is like you look at the economy spurring, spinning, and changing across the world. Have you seen changes? It's all really just kind of bizarre how it's all shifting at the same time. This shift on a 400 or a 2,000 year cycle, we're all living it. We're inside it right now. It's many complex facets of this grand solar minimum reset, for a better term. Economy, food production, and population migration. It's always been time immemorial, those three. So that's why I've been focusing a lot on the economy lately instead of just pinpointing on the weather. The Alaskan Range, deep in snow. How much deep in snow? Well, Anchorage hit the 100-inch winter snow total, earliest date on record. And there's also something to be said about the snow weight and the snow load. It must be heavier, wetter snow. You know, we get that in spring. It gets incredible wet snow. It just bends all the trees down. So we've seen this roof collapsing phenomenon here for the last month and a half, but it's really ramped up. They've had 17 collapses in this last, say, 10 days. So starting to make the news cycle once again. With Anchorage's record-setting snow, officials say it's not a bad idea to shovel the roof. Okay. Little dangerous, in my opinion, to get up there, but, you know, there's ways to do it. So looking at just the snow totals overall, you know, we can go back to 2011 and 12. But for some reason, this year is different with the weight on the roofs with the snow load and buildings collapsing. Why didn't it do that through all these other years as well? Is more the question. But they've already broken through the 2003 and 4. It's up to around 113. They're expecting more snow to come rolling through. Also, interestingly enough, another streak bites the dust. Well, Fairbanks talking about 2,570 days that they didn't reach 50 degrees Fahrenheit below zero. Taking us back to the 1930s with that kind of long streak record. Okay, 1930s. Let me scratch my head, Oh, Dust Bowl era. I wonder if that's a cycle too. Do you think? And I'll bring you another head scratcher here. After facing criticism about their response to record-breaking snow that hit Anchorage earlier in the winter. Now, I'm scratching my head and whoa. This is one of the snowiest places in America, hands down. Every year they are so prepared. Look at the amount of snow removal gear that they have. And they're still caught off guard, and then people are questioning why they couldn't, you know, take care of the snow. Really, something is so far above the normal that it is catching even the most prepared areas off guard. So this one in itself needs to have a little more analysis done to it. But you can see what they talk about, shoveling snow off of the roof, and there's several products out there. Instead of actually physically getting off, there's something you can do from the ground. But that's all back-breaking work. Why would you do something like that? Because here's what they do across different areas on the planet. They're not worried about emissions. Check this out, old school style, just blow a bunch of soot onto the snow. And then what happens is on a sunny day, that soot will absorb the heat and then start to melt the snow naturally. Like, why would you spend all the time to do that when you can just blow a bunch of soot everywhere? But not to be outdone, you know, you got to also do away with some of these gases coming out of the stack. So if you thought that was big, then light the candles. Right, here we go. You can always up it in different countries if you're going to get rid of pollution. Many ways, shapes, and forms, but I guess this takes the cake. And I guess you could probably heat an oven to bake a cake with that too. Just saying. Now, speaking of natural disasters, let's take a look. Countries hit the most by earthquakes. We got China, Indonesia, Iran, Japan, United States. I didn't really think they'd be up there. Turkey, India, Philippines. But these are poised to increase as the electromagnetic effects from our sun change our magnetosphere, and our crust also responds in time with that. And as I mentioned in the very first slide with the 3 dots and the UFO or whatever they might be, you tell me, I'm curious too. I'm doing Patreon exclusive videos, at least once a week, of things you will not find anywhere else. Things I really want to talk about, but I can't here on the platform. So I go out of my way to make something in-depth and thought-provoking that you can share with friends and family, and I'll pass the slide decks on to you at the same time as an extra along with. So then you have the images that you can go start the conversations with, plus a bunch of talking points and also keyword phrases to jump into the engines and kick it yourself. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and you can see we're in the amplification phase right now. We had that blowtorch summer and the Antarctic winter. Now we're coming into super wind speed spring, which is also affecting driest places on the planet. But, you know, look at the arc storms and record jet travel with record, wind speeds above where aircraft travel is also, it's not just ground level, but it is up when you look at 30,000 to 40,000 feet. It's now just this incredible superhighway of high-speed winds as well. It's going to be a lot of vortice events and, let's say, tree-breaking, crop-destroying wind speed events through this spring here into the summer. who knows what the world will bring us, but going to keep you abreast here at the Adapt 2030 channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.